Hi everybody, I'm going to show you today how to make a GIF. That's a bit of a collage. It's got some mixed elements to it. It's kind of a portrait here. We've got some elements flashing on and off. We've also got this other GIF here that we're going to try and make a bit of a facsimile of. So just keep in mind the portrait faces and these different areas going in and out. So let's take a look. I've got Photoshop open here. I've got a nice portrait of a young man that we're going to use. So I'm going to open that up. And it's loading. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this because GIFs can be very large because they have to be multiple images. So I'm going to resize this down a bit. So I'm going to go to Image up at the top and then down to Image Size. And I'm going to keep the resolution at 72. So make it 72 if it's not. And then I'm going to make the width just 900. You want to make sure this little icon here, this little chain icon is connected. That just basically means to make them proportional. So I type in 900 here, and then it says, okay, your height would be 600. And then I click OK, and then I have my figure here. I'm going to go over to the navigator. If you don't have a navigator open, you can go to Window and then Navigator here to see if this is checked. And then you can just drag this slider to zoom in a little bit. So we're going to zoom in a bit. You can also click these little mountains and see your percentage. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and change up some of the elements on his face and sunglasses, his hat, and his shirt. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those elements out. So I'm going to go over here to the left to my toolbar to the lasso. And again, I'm going to use this polygon tool lasso. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I have some more precision. And then I'm just going to start tracing these sunglasses so that I can cut these out. Right around here. Now I want to have several things selected, so I'm going to hold Shift as I click. And it's going to let me select two areas at once. And then once you're done having started the second selection, you can let go of Shift. But if you wanted a third selection as well, you would hold Shift again. So now I have these two sunglasses cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste in place. And yep, if I just went ahead and did Command V for paste. Over here in the history, I'm going to back up just to show you. You can do it also in Edit and then come down here to paste as well. And then here, paste in place, that just basically means paste it in the same place that I copied it from. So I don't want his lenses to move. I want them to be in the same spot. So I'm going to paste, and then it's going to appear over here as a new layer. You can't see it right there. There we go. So if you turn off the background, you can see that this is just the lenses. So I'm going to rename this Sunglass Lenses. And then I'm going to do the same with his shirt. I'm going to zoom out, or his hat, I'm sorry. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to cut out his hat. Go around his hair here. There we go. I'm doing a pretty rough job with this, but you can really go in and be quite precise with your cutouts, or you can leave them a little bit rougher, if that's how you'd prefer. There we are. Coming around here. And closing that off. Now I've got those marching ants. And then I'm going to make sure that the background is selected. I want to make sure that Sunglass Lens is not selected. I want to select the background layer. And then I'm going to copy and paste again. So Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste. And again, you can use Apple Command C and Command V for that. And then if we turn off the background layer, you see we've got the hat. So I'm going to label that hat. And then I'm going to do it one more time very quickly for his shirt here. Let's see. Also, if you want to take all of these extra elements off, well, you can just work on the image. You just hit Tab to remove all that, and then Tab to put it all back. So if you lose everything, try hitting Tab. And so I'm just going to start a new selection down here. And again, very quickly cut out the shirt. There we are. Very good. You might be tempted to use some kind of color selection. Basically, you can go up here, color, and then color range. And sometimes that'll work for items, for areas that are very flat in color. But for now, I'm just going to use it cut out using the lasso. So I'm hitting Tab to get my menus back, and then I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste, and then here I've got the shirt, so I'm going to label the layer shirt. Excuse me. There we go. Okay, so now I've got all of those options. Right now I'm going to save my file because we don't want to lose it. So I'm just going to save it to the desktop. Collage portrait. There we go. You want to make sure that the layers were saved on that as well. So if I go back to that screen, you can see down here, you want to make sure it's a Photoshop file and that the layers are saved. It'll be a PSD. Okay, so moving on. No, I don't want to replace it, cancel it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in some of these other visual elements that I want to bring in for kind of flashing in and out. So I've got some other things here. I've got a nice section of woods, which I want to make put on a shirt. So I'm opening it here, and then I'm clicking and dragging it into the canvas. You'll notice I'm not clicking and dragging directly from Finder into the canvas, but you can do that too. Sometimes the sizing can be a little bit funny, but for now, this is really, really, really big. If you zoom all the way out, you can see how large it is. So I'm going to click and drag it down. If it's not staying proportional, hold on Shift. There we go. And then basically, oh, I'm sorry, that was Command T for free transform to get these anchors on up. And then I'm moving it down and then hitting return or enter when I'm finished. And then I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in to something more normal. There we go. Basically what we're going to do for this is we're going to use some clipping masks. And that's basically a way of telling Photoshop, I only want you to fill in this certain area. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually make these woods into a mask here using the shirt. So you're going to put the woods above the shirt, or whichever pattern you'd like. And then you go ahead and right-click on it. Oops. You right-click on it and get down to Create Clipping Mask. And then you'll see a little arrow coming down, and it's going to basically be using the shirt as a mask. And then if you come over here and click your moving tool, or also click press V, you can see that you can actually move this around now within that mask, and the actual area will stay the same, but the photo can move around behind it. So now I'm going to do the same thing quickly for his sunglasses and his hat. So now I'm bringing in some stars that we'll put on his sunglasses. I'm going to shrink this down before I bring it in. So image size, and then bring this down to 900 again, just to make it a little easier to work with. And I'm bringing it into Photoshop. I'm putting it above the sunglass lenses layer. I'm going to label this sky. And then I'm going to right-click on the sky layer and come down to Create Clipping Mask again. And you can see here that it's using these sunglass lenses as a clipping mask. So we've got some stars on his sunglasses here. If you turn it off, you can see it's just the regular lenses again. And again, we can adjust. So I'm going to bring these down a little bit so that it looks a little bit cooler. There we go. And one last time for the hat. Bringing in a new image, sizing it down. There we are. Moving it in. And then I'm putting it right on top of this hat layer. I'm labeling it flowers. You double click to rename it. And then I'm right clicking and clicking on Create Clipping Mask. And then there we go. He's got a nice flowery hat. So basically there we have our finished collage image. All of these elements can kind of be turned on and off, depending on how we want to make it animated. So once we're at this point, let's bring in some animation. So you want to go up to the top here, and you want to go to Window. And all the way down here, you're going to see Timeline. And you want to check that to get your timeline up here. So you're going to get this window here, it says Timeline, and you want to create Video Timeline. But then you want to go right over here, and you see these three little squares in the lower left-hand corner. You want to click on those, and this is going to bring us to the timeline layout that we're going to work with. So basically, we're going to fill this bar with different frames. by turning on and off layers, and then Photoshop is going to display each frame for the amount of time that we specify. So right now it's set to 5 seconds. So we're actually going to bring that down to about ½ a second, so it moves along a little bit faster. We're also going to turn off these extra elements so that it's going to start off normal, and then we get the element of surprise. So once you have your first frame all set up, you come down here to this little new paper icon, new frame, and you're going to click on that and you get another new frame, and then we're going to set the layers to how we want. So at this point, maybe we want the shirt to come in as the woods photo, and then we start another one, and maybe we start another frame, and maybe the woods flickers off, but now the flowers and the sky come in over his sunglasses and his hat. And then we could have another frame come in where it's back to normal again, and then one more frame where we have all of these elements all turned on at once. So it goes about a ½ second at a time. We can change all of these individually, so maybe it starts off at 2 seconds, the normal frame. Let's actually make that 1 second. And then once you're ready to see how it looks like, you want to go ahead and press play down here. And you can see it's showing you your animation. It's looping on forever, and that's pretty close to what we have here as far as just changing up the different elements of the portrait. So once you're happy with that, you can kind of keep playing with this and move these layers around, change the timing, change other things. If you want to add another frame in here where maybe everything gets a little crazy and you've inverted the colors, and there we go. That's actually going, sometimes it retroactively affects other layers. So we want to turn these off, and then on the very last one, we'll make a new frame, and we'll make it kind of crazy, and it'll stay on that. So you can change all of these different things, and we'll check it out one more time. There we go, perfect. Okay, so once we're happy with it, we're going to save it again, so File, Save. And then we're going to go down to File, and Export, and then Export Save for Web Legacy. There's a bit of a shortcut, but for the most part, we're just going to do File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And then you're going to get this screen. So you want to make sure that this is set to GIF up here. It's going to give you different options. It might give you the options up here. If it does, you want to click on GIF 64 Desert, and that's going to pick out some different colors. You can go up to 128 if you want a little bit more color depth. And then you select if you want a transparent image or not. It's not in this case. And then down here, we can get one more preview of how it's going to look if you press this play button. And you can also specify if you want it to repeat forever, or just one time, or repeat 3 times, etc. So we want this to loop forever. So we're going to hit stop, and then we're going to hit save, and then we're going to save this as Collage Portrait Animated. There we go, and then we'll go back to our desktop and take a look. And there we go. We've got our animated portrait. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email, and I've got some attribution notes coming up for the art that we used in just 1 second. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.